Subjuntivo. Los condicionales. Conditional phrases are often phrases that are impossible or not probable. They're often counterfactual or the opposite of what's true. We're already familiar with the conditional endings, the ia, ias, ia endings. What we're not familiar with is that ias are often used in phrases that use the past subjunctive. These phrases are the if, then phrases, or in Spanish, si, entonces. Entonces usually is not used in the phrase like we would say in English. If I had money, then I would buy a Ferrari. In Spanish, you usually don't have to have that entonces in there. To form these phrases, you have to know how to say the imperfect of the subjunctive, which is the past subjunctive we just learned, and the conditional endings, which you're also very familiar with. So for example, if we were to take hablar and put it in the past subjunctive, hablara, hablaras, hablara, habláramos, hablarais, and hablaran, I'll show you how to make conditional sentences with these, along with a second verb in the sentence that's going to have that conditional ending on it. Ia, ias, ia, íamos, iais, and ian. Let's look at our first sentence. If I spoke Spanish, I would speak it with you. See how that's counterfactual? I don't speak Spanish, so I don't speak it with you. It's conditional. If I did something, then I would do something else. But the first part's not true. I don't speak Spanish, so I don't speak it with you. If you spoke French, you would like to travel to France. But you don't speak French, so you don't want to go to France. If she spoke well, she would be an actor. But she speaks terribly, so she's never going to be an actor. If we spoke English, we would go to England. If y'all spoke with food in your mouths, you wouldn't be able to communicate very well. If they spoke in class, they'd have to go to the office. Notice the first word in all of these sentences is if, and the verb tense directly following the word if is going to be the past subjunctive. The second verb in the sentence, the then part of the sentence, is going to be in the conditional tense, the ia, ias, ia, íamos, iais, and ian endings. I'm going to flip these endings to see that you can say it in two different directions. So far, this is how we have the sentences. The imperfect of the subjunctive directly follows if, it's the first part of the sentence, and the conditional is the second part. You can flip those and still communicate exactly the same thing. Let's look at these sentences. I would speak it with you if I spoke Spanish. Let's clean that up a little bit and say I would speak Spanish with you if I spoke it. Notice that even though the si is in the second part of the sentence, it's still followed by the past subjunctive. So it's the past subjunctive that's always going to follow the if part of the phrase. You would like to travel to France if you spoke French. She would be an actor if she spoke well. We would go to England if we spoke English. Y'all wouldn't be able to communicate very well if you spoke with food in your mouths. And they would have to go to the office if they spoke in class. You can see then that the sentence can be worded either way as long as the past subjunctive is right after the si part of the phrase. I'm going to take this up another level and we're going to add perfects in with this. So here's our original sentences. If I spoke Spanish, I would speak it with you. Let's add the perfect tense into this. If I had spoken Spanish, I would have spoken it with you. Notice again, right after the if part of the phrase is going to be the past subjunctive. Si hubiera hablado español, lo habría hablado contigo. If you would have spoken French, si hubieras hablado francés, te gustaría haber viajado a Francia. That's a mouthful, but you can definitely say that. Si ella hablara bien, habrías sido un actor. If she spoke well, she would have been an actor. Si no habláramos inglés, no iríamos a Inglaterra. Notice that no does not affect this either way, and neither does cuando, que, or si. The real connector here is going to be entonces, and usually that's not even added in the sentence. It just used a comma between the two phrases. Si hablarais con comida en la boca, no se comunicaríais bien. If y'all spoke with food in your mouths, you wouldn't speak well. Si hubieran hablado en clase, if they had spoken in class, tendrían que haber ido a la oficina. They would have had to have gone to the office. So you can see that the perfects can also be used in the conditional phrases. Subjuntivo. Los condicionales.